call the meeting to order for Friday, November 8th. Ms. Jacobs, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Mr. Bryson?
Present.
Dr. Bunch?
Present.
Mr. Coleman?
Present.
Dr. Dozier?
Here.
Mr. Elmore?
Here.
Mr. Irvin?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Gunn?
Here.
Mrs. Hartung? Mr. Jackson? Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Fields?
Here.
Senator Levin?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. McIntyre?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Norwood?
Here.
Dr. O'Kelly?
Here.
Mrs. Richardson?
Here.
Mr. Stanton?
Thank you. I would like to note that Mr. Jackson's absence has been excused. He's off getting some award. I don't know if that's a secret. Is that a secret? South Carolina Realtor of the Year, and we're very proud of him. And W.C. Stanton is a medical excuse. The media's been notified. Also, they're here in attendance. Our media guests, Diane Kanish, where is she? Thank you for coming. Post and Courier, and Ellen Metter, Morning News. Thank you. Everybody has the minutes. You've had an opportunity to read those.
Move that be accepted as presented.
Have a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving right along to committee reports. Executive Affairs Committee met this morning at 8:30. As I remind you, that's an open meeting. Everybody's invited to attend. We had good attendance. Covered a number of topics, some of which will be reviewed today during the committee reports. No actions taken. Moving along to academic affairs and accreditation. Ms. Hartung was not here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Academic Affairs and Accreditation Committee of the Board of Trustees of Marion University met this morning. We received information from Drs. Chapman and King and Mr. Gurley, and we received notification we have 744 freshmen, and that's 95% of those are from South Carolina. Total enrollment at this time 4,058 students. And graduation, we hope you will all be in attendance. We'll be on the 14th of December, and we'll graduate approximately 265 total students. We've gotten a report at this committee of 2 new programs, the Physician's Assistant Program. We have begun the process. We are being mentored by the Physician's Assistant Studies at Wake Forest University, and that's chaired by Dr. Rima Bushart, who is originally from Lake City and who also used to be at MUSC. We hope that we will be accepting students in the fall of 2016 for the Physician's Assistant Program. The Speech Pathology Program, we're beginning that. We are having a feasibility study done, which Dr. Hester is chairing, and it could be that we would be accepting students in the fall of 2017. Note was made of the productivity of our faculty and their scholarly writings and presentations, which is really something we should be proud of. And the faculty governance report yielded information that Dr. Tuttle is moving along with beefing up our honors program, and that might include more applied honors courses, maybe some team taught by different professors, and that would help us to attract more of those good students. Of course, our McNair Scholars Program, we'll be choosing 3 of those in January, and that is certainly another drawing card for us. That concludes our report, Mr. Chairman. Any questions?
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to development and alumni. Mr. Freeman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We met at approximately 10:30 this morning. Some highlights. The Education Foundation Board met on October the 23rd. During that meeting, the board approved an updated investment objectives and guideline procedures. Everything's going very, very well with that. On October the 17th, there was an annual scholarship donor reception that was held, and Dr. Carter will allude on that during his report later on in this meeting here. We probably had approximately 175 attendees at that meeting. Also, we continue to visit the various industry in the area to help cultivate more participation with the university and so forth, and donations and along. Everybody make a note in their calendars, so March 14th will be the Chairman's Classic Foundation Golf Tournament, which can be held at the Country Club of South Carolina, and details to follow. And the night before, which will be March 13th, the Swamp Fox Club will have their annual silent auction at the Performing Arts Center. Now, switching over to Alumni Affairs, they have had 2 board meetings since our last board meeting. They have approximately 800 members at this time. Various events have gone over throughout the past 2 months, including the biology alumni, psychology alumni have had several meetings, and also they did finally have the alumni dinner at the Moore Botanical Gardens that was held in Lake City. Because I know before we tried to have it in May, and weather did not cooperate with us, but this time I think it was approximately 75 to 100 people that attended there, and everybody really had a great time. Just some further events. Homecoming is planned this year for the weekend of February the 22nd. Please put that on the calendar. You'll be getting further information about that as the time comes. Alumni Awards Reception Program will be held the 27th of February, so also please put that down. That will also be held at the PAC, Performing Arts Center. The Alumni Affairs Office had a phone-a-thon recently, and they have gained approximately another additional 210 members. And so instead of just having one big blast of a phone-a-thon throughout the year, they're going to have several, and they're going to be attracting various attributes of different members, various demographics for as young alumni, recent graduates, and then also some various class years and so forth and so forth. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Freeman? Hearing none, we'll move on to financial affairs, facilities. Mr. George McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Financial Affairs and Facilities Committee met, and first we reviewed the quarterly budget summary, which was found in your tabs in your notebook. We have passed 1/4 of the fiscal year thus far, and we're right on target. We've actually collected about 62% of our income in our general fund income revenue, and we have expended at this point about 24% of our general fund expenditures. So we're right on target, and everything's moving along fine as far as income and revenues go at this point of the year. Our head count stays stable. No significant changes whatsoever in that. And then finally in that report is that, again, about 87% of our students are receiving some form of financial assistance here at Francis Marion, as we continue to strive to look for sources for financial assistance for our students here at Francis Marion. I will note again, as we have before, the importance of the federal Pell Grants and the Life and Hope scholarships are both very significant sources of income for us and our students. So, any questions about the budget summary that anyone may have? Next, Mr. Chairman, we reviewed the audit report. We did receive the audit for last fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2013. We received another clean, good audit report. It's an unqualified opinion, which is the best opinion that you can receive in an audit report. The auditor had no reservations concerning the financial statements of Francis Marion. He also had no findings that were material to the accuracy of the financial statements, and the audit firm proposed no adjustments as far as our accounting and our auditing here at Francis Marion. There were no instances of non-compliance in the audit. So again, a very good audit. In regards to federal monies that flow through here, the federal awards, I'll note that we had a total of over $39 million that flowed through here from federal awards. And again, no findings with that either. Everything carried out just perfectly well. And I'd like to just take a minute and thank the financial management team that we have here at Francis Marion, of course headed by Jay Kispert, our VP for Business Affairs, and the fine team that he has assembled there, also the academic and department chairs throughout the university who all are keenly aware of and are very prudent in managing our financial resources here at Francis Marion and are very good stewards of the public's money. And I just, on behalf of the board, like to thank each and every one of those that played a role in this fine audit. Next, Mr. Chairman, we did review the facilities update. We're in a little bit of a slow time right now as far as facilities. We are finishing up some projects and we're about to embark on some new projects. I will mention that the Performing Arts Center amphitheater shell is slated or scheduled to begin work in the first part of 2014. Our anticipation is that will be finished so that it can be used in the spring of 2014. I think Trustee Elmore noted that the general campus overall just looks good. When you drive in here, it looks good. The new signage, the way the campus is kept so clean and looks good. And the comment was made that it really looks like a true college campus, and hats off to all those that played a role in that. And I'll just mention in passing that Dr. Sampam Crackett, who has been a longtime supporter of the university, has donated his office building downtown to the university. Our anticipation and hope is that that will be converted perhaps to a sound studio to be used in our music and industry appreciation program here at Francis Marion, and also be available for private use. So it's an exciting new project downtown as well, and again, Dr. Crackett is to be commended for his generosity to this university over many, many years, and we thank him for that. Other than that, we just continue moving on and maintaining the campus and keeping it in a pro-growth mode, and everything seems to be moving along well in that respect. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman, unless we have some questions.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. It's an excellent report. A lot of things going on. Hearing no questions, we'll move on to student affairs and athletics. Mr. Gunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had reports this morning from both student affairs and the athletics department. Over in student affairs, I'd like to report that the personal growth and development program here at Francis Marion, which is known as Freshman Focus, was a huge success this year. We had 25 students to participate in this pilot program. This program is designed to ease the transition from high school to college life, and the Dean Ramey reports it was quite successful. In addition, Leadership FMU will be conducting its fall session, concluding its fall session on November the 18th this year with a recognition ceremony awarding the Leadership Legacy Award, which is not given on a regular basis, but so it is a very highly coveted award. And that award will go to Cody Simpson, who, as you may know, served as the SGA president here for the past 2 years, and he's certainly a well-deserved award he's going to receive prior to his graduation in December. The Campus Connector, Francis Marion, will be participating in a pilot program designed to enhance student engagement and retention by using a concentrated private social network that we're going to be piloting this spring. A couple of items coming up for your edification. The ROTC commissioning will be held Friday, December the 13th at the Lee Nursing Building. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, of course, annually each year on Thursday, the 16th of January at the Chapman Auditorium. And then the much anticipated Francis Marion's Dance Marathon, which benefits the Children's Miracle Network, will take place on January 24th. So if you'd like to come and see your favorite college president in action, I recommend you come out on the 14th for that. We also heard this morning from Dustin James, who's the SGA president here at Francis Marion. Dustin is a junior from Darlington, who's is on the medical tech track and a very involved and busy young man, having just returned from the South Carolina State Student Legislature, which met in Columbia last week. Dustin and the delegation went to Columbia, were very successful in moving their proposed legislation through the student legislature. Remember, Cody Simpson also served as the governor of student legislature, which was a very, very distinctive honor, and we're certainly proud of the job he's done. And Dustin has pledged to continue the traditional leadership for Francis Marion in the student affairs area. Over on the athletic side, Athletic Director Hartzler reported that the men's soccer team is, so far this year, is 9-4-4. For a record, they're playing in the semifinals of the conference today. They have to win in order to receive an invitation to the playoffs, so we certainly hope the best for them. Volleyball right now is 8-6, second place in the conference, ranked 7th in the NCAA regional poll. The top eight go to the regionals. We'll be hosting the conference tournament here the 22nd through the 24th. We had 14 student athletes who earned Division II ADA Academic Achievement Awards for the school year, and we certainly appreciate the work they've done. And 89 of the athletes were named to the Peach Belt Presidential Honor Roll. Home basketball season begins next Thursday, November the 14th. The Student Athlete Advisory Committee will be raising funds at the games to benefit the Wounded Warrior Project. Reminder that homecoming this year will be on February 22nd for homecoming. And Murray indicates that the fundraising is on target to exceed funds raised last year, currently at $231,156 and pledged or given within the last year's overall being $239. And we have several corporate entities that have made commitments that haven't been reported yet. So if you have not taken advantage of renewing or initiating your membership in the Swamp Fox Club, I would certainly suggest you do that, because they certainly need additional help to make sure the student athletes are taken care of, especially on the road trips. Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, move on to my favorite part of the agenda, President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me, first of all, let me disabuse you of any sense about the dance marathon. I only go in action on the slow dances, the very, very slow dances, trustee God. Let me report to the board that it's really been a great semester this semester. Things have begun very, very well, and they progressed during the course of the semester. We Trustee Tracy Freeman mentioned the wonderful scholarship reception we had a few weeks ago, where we brought all of our donors and all of our recipients together, and Jay Dow started that process about 6 or 7 years ago. Darrell Bridges has picked it up, and it's a wonderful evening for people to appreciate what other people are doing for them in terms of providing them scholarships and giving them the gift of an education. And in return, many of those donors really see the impact that their dollars have in terms of securing those educations down the road. And Darrell made the comment during the committee meeting that people stay on well after the event's over just to talk with one another. And it's a wonderful event to witness. Please come in subsequent years if you have the opportunity. That's one of those things you at least want to go to one time, because it heightens your sense as to the importance of philanthropy at colleges and universities. Let me return very, very briefly, if I might, Trustee McIntyre, to the subject of the audit. I believe this is we're in our 15th year of unqualified, absolutely clean audits, and thank you for recognizing the fine work that Jay Kispert does, and Brenda Jones, and Kim Elazar, and Gus Deal, and all of our department chairs. You know, everybody here takes the financial responsibilities, I think, very, very seriously, and they're very, very prudent and circumspect in the way that they handle dollars here. It's reflected every year in those audit reports. Let me mention, we have a couple of things underway now on campus that are worth noting. We have our Fiction Festival on campus, and again, this year, some of the finest authors and poets in the country are on campus. Last night, many of you joined us for the readings of Evie Shockley and Tom Franklin, and tonight we have Jane Yolen, Allison Joseph, and Dolan Perkins Valdez. And I would remind you, if you can join us tonight for those readings, there's a reception in the cottage right after. So it's always a delightful event. And I'm going to come back to this in just a second, but you know, the one thing I'm told over and over again by those authors who visit the campus is, you've got a great faculty here. Well, we know that, but it's also nice to know that some of the leading authors in this country also recognize the contributions of our own faculty. And in that regard, let me just take a second and do an advertisement. One of our faculty members, Phil Gardner, has just completed his third collection of short stories. Now, let me just, if I might, just brief you a little bit on Phil. Phil's been a member of our English department for 2.5 decades. He's the three-time winner of the South Carolina Fiction Project, and he's a Piccolo Spoleto Fiction Open winner. And his new collection of short stories is called Available Light. Now, his last collection of short stories came out about 18 months ago. I happened to get it in the afternoon, and I didn't get to sleep the next morning until 4 a.m. This collection of short stories is truly a page turner. And what we've done for members of the board is we're going to be sending you, each of you, a copy of this edition. Okay, the Amazon is, for a small rate, is participating with us, and we'll have those mailed directly to you. But the other wonderful thing about Phil's literature is it's almost all set in the Carolinas, and a fair number of the stories are actually set in and around the PD. So I think you'll enjoy this very, very much. The other thing that I might do in the future, if you permit me, is at each board meeting and president's report, I might just highlight a faculty member in terms of what their production's doing, their research and creative work is doing in terms of educating not only our students, but the community and the state. So we're very, very proud of Phil. If you run into Phil, congratulate him on his latest work. It's superb. November 15th, we actually bring our second-year medical students from the USC School of Medicine. I would remind all of you now, next year, third and fourth year medical students will arrive here to begin their clinical work. It's the first year that we'll have the third and fourth year medical students here. They'll be working with both Carolinas and McLeod, and they'll be accommodated in spaces that include, of course, our own nurse practitioners. And then when our medical building opens, our health sciences building opens in 2016, those medical students will be in with our nurse practitioner and physician assistance program. That on November 15, there's a lunch that day at noon at the Performing Arts Center. If your calendar permits, please join us. You'll have an opportunity to meet some of those second-year medical students who hopefully will be in residence here next year. Now, bear in mind that there's a selection process with regard to them coming here, but there's also an important selection process with them making the decision to come here. So I think we'll ask our business community and our academic community to be a part of meeting those young men and women and urging them to consider the Florence branch campus as the place where they'll do their last 2 years. Let me just say, if I might, Mr. Chairman, a word about commencement. Our commencement speaker this year will be Minor Mickle-Shaw. We're very, very pleased about Minor being our commencement speaker. Minor is chair of the Duke Endowment. She's chair of the Bell Baruch Foundation down at Hobcall Barony. Right now, Minor is also chairing the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport Commission. And by the way, in her spare time, she also runs a corporation, okay? But so I think Minor will be a terrific speaker. I think our students will enjoy her message very, very much. For many of you old-timers, Minor's father was Buck Mickle, who, of course, chaired for a number of years the State Development Board in the old days. Jody, I think you may remember those days. But we'll also give an honorary degree to Reverend Diggs, who has just retired as pastor of the Trinity Baptist Church. Many of you know Reverend Diggs not only with regard to his wonderful religious work across the region, but Mr. Chairman, Senator Leatherman, Reverend Diggs has truly been one of the most visible community leaders in the PD for really about the last 4 decades. So we're very, very happy about that. And then finally, our third honorary degree at commencement will go to one of our own, Lucy Thrower. Lucy began teaching here in 1971, the second year that the university was open. And Lucy taught from 71 to 99 as a regular faculty member. Lucy retired in 1999 and has been teaching as a retiree at the university every year since then. My friends, I don't know that there's anybody in this entire place that loves Frances Marion more than Lucy Thrower, and it's a wonderful opportunity for this university to recognize her service. Well, Mr. Chairman, for the most part, other than just saying how excited we are about our new industrial engineering program, the physician assistance program, which Dr. King is gradually nurturing to fruition. And by the way, of course, that'll be a part of a partnership with Wake Forest University to bring about. And then the speech pathology program, which Dr. Hester is working to develop. Enormous excitement about continuing to add to our critical mass of health professional programs that we'll offer across the PD. I would conclude by just saying I think the next 3 to 4 years are going to be very, very critical years in the history of this university as we look at not only new programs, but maybe we look at new places as well. But of course, we'll always continue to build what we build on the foundation of extraordinary faculty and staff. And on a personal note, let me also say on the wisdom, experience, and maturity of this board, who does such a good job in terms of making governance decisions as we go along. And let me say this, on behalf of all the faculty and staff here, let me thank each of you for your service to the university and all that you contribute to make this place run well. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any questions? Thank you. Hearing none, we're going to move on to unfinished business. As you remember, at the last meeting, we had a slate of officers proposed. We put that on the floor for your consideration. Just to refresh your memory, Mr. George McIntyre is chairman, Mr. Tim Norwood is vice chairman, Mr. Frank Elmore is secretary. I do want to take time to thank Ken Jackson, Tracy Freeman, and Gail Richardson for serving on the nominating committee, and it does take a little time and effort to work through that, and for their efforts. Ken, as you know, is not here today, and I would mention to the group that this is a 2-year term. That slate of officers would take over in February. However, I'd also mention, Mr. McIntyre, come January, it's yours for all those events and other affairs if you get elected. Here in the slate of officers, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have a new slate of officers. The motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No other unfinished business. Any new business want to bring before the group? We do have an executive session matter to consider. It's a contractual matter involving the town of Mount Pleasant. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I would ask at this time that the room be emptied for the public so we can go into executive session. We're back in open session now. We met in executive session. I want to thank you for your patience. No action was taken in executive session. Hearing that, do we have any motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the president to accept Mount Pleasant's invitation and work with the town and other appropriate entities to offer an array of academic programs that meet the needs of that area.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Elmore. Any discussion? All those in favor, we're going to do this a little differently. I'd like for everybody to raise their hand that are in favor of that motion, please. Thank you. Any opposed? I want to note that the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any other business at this time? Hearing none, hearing no further business, I move that the meeting is adjourned.
Second.
Thank you.